Fielding Garr's wife passed away before the Saints left Nauvoo. She asked Fielding to make sure he got his family to the Rocky Mountains with the Saints. At age 52, he traveled without his wife, and he took his 7 children, ranges in the ages of 3 to 19, on the trek west. His daughter Nancy brought her husband Rodney and their child. Even though many of the good men were serving in the Mormon Battalion, Brigham Young still planned to send a vanguard company of pioneer families to the Rocky Mountains in 1846. Fielding Garr and Rodney Badger were 2 of the 25 families that volunteered. By July 22, 1846, they arrived at Elkhorn River, 20 miles west of the Missouri River in Indian Territory. Bishop Miller Company, with 52 wagons, had previously crossed the Elkhorn. Brigham Young's company of 75 wagons and Heber C. Kimball's company with 73 wagons followed. At that point, Fielding Garr and his family was inventoried with 3 wagons, 12 oxen, 5 cows, 2 horses, 5 calves, and 40 mules. Rodney Badger and his family was inventoried at 1 wagon, 4 oxen, 1 cow, 1 horse, and 1 mule. They followed the Platte River, which had plenty of good fish, but little or no game. By the end of the first week in August, 74 families were encamped near the Pawnee Indian village, nearly 100 miles from where winter quarters would be established. On August 7th, they learned that the plan to go west in 1846 had been abandoned. Brigham Young and a council of 12 considered a host of problems connected with the plan, wrote to the Vance Company that it was too late to go to the Rocky Mountains. They were counseled to winter at the Pawnee village as many as they could, and the rest should winter at Grand Island, a little way south of Pawnee village. Fielding and Rodney were 2 of the 14 families with 30 wagons that wintered at Pawnee Missionary Station. It was an abandoned Presbyterian missionary station. The missionary post had also had nearby government buildings established in 1837. However, the Pawnee village and the government buildings had been burned by the Sioux Indians, and the Presbyterian missionaries had been driven out. There were several log homes left intact for the pioneers, even though the village had been burned. Now, the balance of the families who were meant to go south, the families with their 160 wagons were led by Bishop Miller north and wintered 50 miles north at the main Ponca Indian community. Later, some of the Pawnee Indians who returned from a hunting trip to the mission were upset because the Miller Company, as they headed north, trampled their corn. However, they were friendly, and the group at the Pawnee Missionary Station, the Saints, planted them some more corn. In September, Brigham Young, after hearing of the struggles and tense relations with the Pawnee Indians, advised the group to return the 120 miles back to winter quarters. The group left to return back to winter quarters on September 26th and arrived on October 10th. The group north stayed and had a hard winter with little supplies. They lost many of the cattle, and several Saints died of overwork, exposure, and pure exhaustion. And to add to their troubles, their leader, Bishop Miller, wouldn't follow the instructions of Brigham Young. Bishop Miller claimed the right to lead the camp himself by virtue of special appointment from the prophet Joseph Smith. Bishop Miller left the church in April 1846 and joined Elder Lyman Wright in Texas, taking several families with him. Later, disillusioned, he left Texas and joined James J. Strang, an apostate group that established on Beaver Island in Lake Michigan. In 1847, the Saints were going to try once again to go to the Salt Lake Valley. Fielding Garr volunteered to be one of the first companies to arrive in Salt Lake Valley in 1847. He joined Captain Jedediah M. Grant's group, the 3rd Company of the 1847 pioneers. Brigham Young, with his advance company of 143 men, 3 women, and 2 children, left the middle of 1847, left for the Rocky Mountains. They would blaze the trail and prepare for the others to arrive. Rodney Badger was part of this group. Rodney's wife, Nancy, and son would travel with her father, Fielding Garr. On June 20th, the Garrs were crossing the Elkhorn River, and then by June 29th, they were again west of the Pawnee Indian village where they were in September of the previous year. While traveling across what is now Nebraska, Brother Gates wrote of a night that it had a tremendous rain. They had to camp on the prairie without wood nor water. Brother Gates wrote, Went to bed supperless and was worse, got up this morning breakfastless. Some crying had among the children. We churned and drank the buttermilk. Father Garr burned his hen